what I'm thinking here. So and why I picked it. So I got Warriors Dragonfire Pass, 2 groups of Dwarf Warriors, and then Northern Ironbreakers, the Grumbling Guards, some Rangers, 2 Runesmiths, a Rune Lord, and some Slayers, and some minor blasting charges and some Gyrocopters. So this is my thinking of why I deployed the way I did. Is most people send their best armor piercing units straight down the pipe. So I decided, instead of having the Ironbreakers fight the Black Horse, let's throw them on the side. And let's have them just hold a flank secure while the rest of the army goes. And I've grabbed the Slayers because if they bring anything big, I need a way to take them down. But also, they do well at just chasing down missile units. And that seems to be the biggest problem I have other than chariots. So my opponent, he brings 3 groups of Squid Herds, a decent pick. He brought 3 groups of Orc Arrow Boys, which is unusual. 2 Black Orcs, the Crimson Killers, Orc Boys. And then more Orc Boys holding the sides, and the Goblin Big Boss, and he has the Night Goblin War Boss. And then on the sides, he does have some sneaky little nasty skulkers, and he's going to move in. So I don't see the nasty skulkers. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just moving my Gyrocopters in and out, and I'm just trying to figure out a nice little place to get them. And so I'm sending in my miners with blasting charges to go ahead and start throwing. I do finally see the nasty skulkers because he does, and since I see that his arrows don't have range on me, I'm just going to go ahead and start punishing. So you can already see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 dead bodies. All right, so he's kind of fallen into my trap and just like, all right, let's just throw everything on top of the miners with blasting charges, and I'm just dumping everything into the Crimson Killers because that's the real threat. I did send my other group of Gyrocopters up and around because I had assumed incorrectly that he had another group of nasty skulkers. So once I see that the morale is wavering, I go ahead and just take my group of Gyrocopters and send them up and around. And I'm trying to get my miners to fall back, but it's too bad. It doesn't really work out for him. But he does tie up everything onto here, and I immediately drop the runes of Wrath and Ruin and the Master Rune Wrath and Ruin onto the Crimson Killers. You can see he wants to focus everything on the Ironbreakers is very well. Good on him. And I'm starting to go here. So we have a good solid battle line for me. I don't have any other targets, so he comes in here, but because they have charge defense against all, it's not going to do too much damage to the Ironbreakers. And he's going to get kind of stuck in there, so I send in the Slayers to get in there. Let's hold down space, and I see that the biggest threat to me right now is his chariot, so I just have everything focused on the chariot. Gyrocopters are going to come in. Let's see if we can get a good little... Oh, this is the one where I missed. I come in here and just straight up miss. I meant to put them right there. I do get a few kills, not great, but this one does get in position, and I'm just starting to drop bombs because these squigs do not have the armor. And with the Grumbling Guard and the regular Dwarf Warriors, we're going to be able to hold up long enough to get some work done. And it looks like my sound's being a little weird, so let's go ahead and drop that down. There we go. And let's get back to it. All right, so now that my sound's down and kind of screeching out, so my Slayers have pushed them off. So now I'm going to take, once I realize what's going on, I'm going to take them and swing them up and wide, and just start taking care of those Orc Arrow Boys. Over here, you can see his chariots have gotten shut down. Where are my Slayers? My Slayers have moved over and started chasing, but I managed to shut down his chariots. They have run off in some direction. Oh well, it's not important. And now I'm starting to focus in on what I can. So the Crimson Killers really starting to get hammered by everything I have. I'm focusing my fire on any large targets. Oh, there's the chariot. So I'm focused over there. Now that I see his war boss is afraid and alone in the world, I'm going to start shooting on him. Because the Slayer, my thoughts were the Slayers are now free, so I'm going to start sending them to finish up all these archer units and start pressing through. My Gyrocopters, luckily, I still have 3 models left despite the low health, and I'm going to start rallying my troops. So his Lord really needs to be in combat, but he is a slightly larger model, so he is getting picked off. So you can see since I started talking about shooting him, he's already down to half. And they are shooting into here, but I don't have too many models left. It's just kind of being dead. So my shots are, the ones that miss tend to hit his troops more than mine. And these are at a high angle, so they are coming down up and over my Slayers and Grumbling Guard. And the squigs are going to want none of this Slayer action. He does finally, his board chariots do finally they finally rally and they're going to start heading back. And he just doesn't have what he needs to get it done. So I'm going to take my Grumbling Guard and try to help out this fight with the Black Orcs, which you can see that while my Warriors Dragonfire Pass haven't done too much damage, the Runes of Wrath and Ruin are really starting to hammer down on them. And once I we kind of realize that the Gremlin Guard go left, and then the Slayers are going to come in and try to jump on this war boss. I do believe that he's already popped his potion, so he doesn't have any much left. Since the fights are all tattered over here, I'm just using my runesmiths just to kind of hold down the Orc Arrow Boys. Here you can see you're trying to shoot these Slayers, but the Slayers are still just working down those chariots, because late game, with all these small, thin units, they're really going to hit them. Oh, excuse me, I got to sneeze. No, maybe in a minute. No, it went away. So now the Iron Breakers and my Lord are going to really just keep on pushing. He doesn't have his guys in skirmish mode, but then again, where's he going to go? So I pop my runes. I'm going to come in. I'm going to finish off these Orc Arrow Boys. And you can see that now the Greenskin army is in full retreat, and it's just kind of cleanup operations now. So just picking things off wherever I can. He does get one final little sneak in here, but the Rangers are able to push him off. Even though I'm kind of shooting into my own guys, I figured I'll be okay. All right, and that is all. So let's take a little breakdown, see how it happened. And all right, let's see how we perform. So let's look at my side first. So you can see how my side, the miner's not doing great. They all three of these units started with a chevron, so did this one. So no one really gained any from that. But they did hold up his front line long enough that I can get the real work done. And you can see the Slayer's doing a great job. So the one group getting 171 kills is working their way through arrows and squigs. Some great performances out of my Rangers. And, of course, the Norgrim Iron Breakers are doing a great job with 122. So, overall, I like my army. I think it held up pretty well. My opponent's army, I think it was okay. I don't see the point in bringing the Orc Arrow Boys. Dwarves just aren't fast enough. You might as well just save the money and get Goblins. He didn't really utilize his Orc Boar Chariot as well as he could have. He should have just ignored the Iron Breakers and just hit my back line and just kept running back and forth and just pulling through. But you can see that him getting tied up on my miners with blasting charges, and then this me hammering them with the runes of Wrath and Ruin, that the Crimson Killers only got limited to 50 kills, and not a great performance out of his war boss. So I have one more stomping of greenskins for you, so let's go ahead and cut out, and we'll cut right into that one. To it. And let me make sure I'm recording here. I'm actually hitting the wrong button. All right, so we're good. So let's go over my army. We're going to get hot and bothered real quick. So I actually messed up. I thought I had one unit of Demigryph Knights. I'm like, man, my army seems really small. But no, I actually grabbed the Royal Aldor, or no, I grabbed the Demigryph with halberds, or lances, excuse me. So let's go over my army and what I was thinking. So I'm having a lot of success with Volkmar the Grim. Up here on his pimp wagon, let's go ahead and take a little look here with his jade and his little fire. And then I decided, let's go ahead and let's grab the Royal Aldor Griffites because they cause terror, and let's just hit the Orc army with just massive terror bombs. And so I have my units, and I meant to actually have it Flagellants, Great Swords, Tidal Souls, Great Swords, Flagellants, but I must have just misclicked and have Flagellants on one side, Great Swords on the other. And then I just have some spears back here for blocking. Let's go ahead and hit play. And actually, we're about to start skirmish phase. So, and then I have Sterling's Revenge and the Silver Bullets. And so my thoughts were, let's just kind of engage, and we'll just send these guys where to go, and then we can use the Cav to counter maneuver. So I come across and I see my opponent's army, so I'm shifting to one side, so I'm going to push everything heavy on my left flank and try to overrun. So he has a very unusual build, and I might actually try it one day. So he has the Orc Boar Boy Biggins. He has two groups of trolls. These are red trolls, not to be confused with the green trolls. And then the other side, he has the exact same loadout, and they have the front line of Orc Biggins. He has some Night Goblins and then some Orc Arrow Boys. And this is actually the same player. I just fought him with the Dwarves. And then he has a Goblin Big Boss and a Wolf. I would have really liked to have seen the Wolf, despite how cool he is, just on the spider. And then he brings Snarscape and Goblin. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start forming. So I can see that he's starting to form up here, and I'm saying, okay, well, I'm going to send my spears, and they're just going to have to hold out as long as possible. And I'm just going to take everything I have here and just try to completely crush his little flanking wing there. Once I get everything everything in position, I'm just going to go ahead and start moving forward. So you can see that I'm going to just I'm going to highlight all my units and move them as one go. And that way, so now that they can kind of go in as one go, I start issuing the attack orders. So I'm starting issuing the attack orders. These guys are a little bit behind. What I should have done is put them all the way up here on the front and then gave the orders. Over there, I'm still moving my guys in position. So there we go. All right. So now the battle started. I'm moving the Silver Bullets and the Sterling Revenge in position. I'm just going to start hammering these trolls. And you can see that's one volley, and they've taken about a quarter of their life. And they're already starting to waver. And now I'm taking the my other demigriffs. I can see that he got tied up here, so I had a nice little chance to come in and charge. And you can see that they already dropped to 50%. And now I dropped all the Soulfire, the Fields of Shade, Shield of Faith, and just trying to highlight on my demigriff. So he comes right in here, and he goes straight for my spears, which you never should have done, because spears honestly aren't mobile enough. You should have shot one group for this gap and the other group up and around. And you can see over here I have, where is Volkmar? There he is. So I'm just using Volkmar and his terror just to keep running around and just keep bowling over all the greenskins. Over here, you can see the Royal Aldor Griffites have already routed off one unit of trolls. They've hammered the other group, and the other group of boar biggins are starting to run. So now I'm going to have to take the Aldor Griffites and start moving them to the other side, and I'm already moving the silver bullets up and around. I was worried about the Orc Arrow Boy starting to hammer the, silver bullets over there, but he's so close to this combat, I'm going to be able to take my great swords and start running in, and I'm going to take Volkmar. Every time he comes around, just hit, turn around, hit somewhere else, turn around, hit somewhere else. But good on my opponent. He's able to do a lot of damage to the Demigriff Knights, and that's just going to be all she wrote for him. But he is exposed here. He has both groups of trolls, and I'm able to get the silver bullets in here, and you're going to see they're going to start putting some punishment onto these trolls. So they're already starting to waver. Once again, like he did okay in the front. He had the right army, but he's just so focused on the other units that he just doesn't notice my spears, and he keeps getting tied up. And these little engagements that he really doesn't need to tie up in. He should have taken this a little bit extra time and gone wide and just keep on moving out. So he finally does see it. He pulls his guys out, but too late. They're already been bogged down by the spears, and the Griffites are just going to start hammering. So now over here, I had the Warrior Priest is running off these trolls. But I'm trying to get back to the combat because there's only 12 flagellants left in the Tatter Souls. The Arrow Boys are really starting to kind of get to my different units. The Silver Bullets are doing okay. I'm trying to pull them away from the Goblin Big Boss, but Sterling's Revenge, they're just gonna suffer. But he keeps taking Snarkstead, going after Volkmar the Grim, but Volkmar doesn't want any of that action. He does not give it two shits. So once again, just stick and move. So every time you have these chariots, just stick and move. So I hit, I pull through, I hit again, and now I'm gonna start sending to the other group. So it's still kind of back and forth. I thought I crushed his flank, but with any time you fight the greenskins, they always just keep rallying. So you can see that his trolls, because I didn't kill the models, he's able to regenerate that. And so the Royal Aldor Griffites are really starting to hammer here. And I'm having to use the silver bullets just to cut down, kind of just provide support fire for this match. Over here, I'm able to hold out with, I'm down to one Tatter Soul and the Warrior Priest. So really what's carrying the day for me right now is those Royal Griffites, but also the Silver Bullets and Volkmar the Grim. Because Volkmar, he just has no answer for. Every time he's in a combat, Volkmar comes in, he strikes that terror, and he's going to get a great little charge right down the center here. Nope, he got pulled over path. He should have come straight down this line, but come in, drop a little soul fire, leave a little present, and then just keep on leaving. So that soul fire is doing some okay damage. My Warrior Priest is going to kind of break, and my spears are just kind of just tying up whatever I can. So let's get a little bit better view of the battlefield. So now I'm holding down the fire on his trolls, get those Aldor Griffites in there. Now that they're starting to flee, let's get that terror in there. They're going to terror out. And then we're going to take those silver bullets and we're going to start hammering a little bit of fire in there. One thing I did not realize, but he keeps popping the tricksy traps, which keeps giving all his guys leadership, was he keeps holding it. One thing he does do, I think was a poor decision, is he keeps trying to get Volkmar the Grim with Starsticks. Maybe because Starsticks has an anti-large, but you can see he's just so much faster. And this guy's just waving at him. He knows he can't reach him. And we're just going to keep on pushing through. And as we push through, their leadership's already dropping. You see that big drop in their leadership. Great swords come in there, and now they're losing the combat, and they're just going to break off the field. So really what I keep doing is I'm just using the Royal Aldor Griffites and the Silver Bullet shoot, drop to morale, Aldor Griffites hit, terror rout. Same thing over here. He gets in the combat, the Volkmar the Grim hits, Volkmar the Grim causes terror, causes them to rout off. So I keep getting all these free little hits as they run, because you get free hits as they run away. His trolls are starting to get some work done, but they're against spearmen, but he really doesn't have any other choices. He could try to chase the silver bullets, but then they're going to get jumped on by the Aldor Griffites, or he can waste time and pull them all the way over here. So once again, we're just going to be riding dirty. We're going to come in. Oh, Or no, okay, we're going to headbutt a little bit, I guess. We're not going to just pull on through. He does take his trolls, but because I'm so big, I'm just going to pull away. And he's not going to be able to do too much to me. So now his Snarch Case is down here holding it up with these great swords, spheres. And I'm just trying to pick away. So once again, using these Griffites and these silver bullets to shoot anything he has. And now we're just trying to start to rally. So I'm pulling my Warrior Priest away from Scarsnake because Scarsnake is just going to ghost him. He's going to straight up murk my Warrior Priest and he'll be gone. So now I'm just kind of running away. So I'm like, all right, let me take my 2 faster units and just try to take these guys off the field because you can see he still has 7 models and he's slowly regenerating those hit points. So now I'm just trying to keep him away. I have no way of supporting the silver bullet, so I'm like, well, I guess we're just going to have to make one last stand, and we're just going to have to try to knock down Scarsnake as fast as we can. These boar boys have almost no life left, so they're just not a concern to me. So let's go ahead and hit fast forward, because right now it's just kind of me mopping up. My forces are so scattered that I have nothing else to do. I'm just picking away these trolls. As soon as I see them shatter, I pull away. There is a group over here, and there's some little goblins here. So I'm just going to pick them off and pick those off. Meanwhile, he's taking what remains of his force all. He has 38 models, but that must be because there's like, there you go, they're dropping now. So he's down to these few models, and he's just trying to hold up. I'm trying to reform ranks. He's trying to reform ranks. So I thought what he had was a decent idea. He just was in the wrong position, and he really needed a Goblin Big Boss to kind of just babysit his trolls because the trolls' 35 leadership wasn't cutting it. But once I did manage to catch these trolls over here, and once they broke, his whole army broke. So let's take a look at the breakdown and see how we did. All right, let's start with my side and see how the performance is. So not a great performance out of the Demigryph with lances. I put them in a position they shouldn't have been in, and I paid for it. But a decent performance out of this great sword. Okay performances of the rest of my infantry, but great performance out of my silver bullets because they were shooting high value targets. And a great performance out of my Aldor Griffites because they were going through. And of course you can see that Volkmar Grim, he was just running up and down the line, causing everything to flee. And let's look at my opponent's list. Overall, wasn't bad. He had his front line, kind of mixed results. These 3 did good, but not a great performance out of these 2. It might have been the ones that fought the great swords. And then you see his trolls, they kind of mixed performance. The only problem is they kept running away and they kept having to fight those Royal Aldorf Griffites. And then his Orc Arrow boys are doing okay. So overall,